Whew! Oh boy. It must be Wednesday. The Southern California air is once again full of smoke as the winds have returned, which have also wreaked havoc on our unpacking job and my new little patio cover thing someone sent me, which is now destroyed. I've been making plans for all kinds of upcoming adventures, but as you can see, I still have a lot of work to do around here. And even though we're still basically just unpacking and I'm a long way from actually achieving it, I still want to someday put a tiki hut back there and build one. And what better place to get tiki hut supplies than from the same place that's provided tiki and Polynesian and nautical decor to countless restaurants and even Disney itself. My very good friends Bob and Leroy's business, OCEANIC ARTS. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, OCEANIC ARTS has been closed. I mean, after all, they do have some guys working there who are in some risk categories, and so the showroom's been closed, catalog only, and of course I didn't have a catalog, but I sent those guys an email last night, and it turns out they have just reopened their showroom. How long it'll be open for? Who knows, with very limited hours. So I'm gonna at least get in there for 20-30 minutes, I think, and take a peek. And if you're just gonna sit there like a dead body, I might as well go. This way I can at least kind of take mental stock of some of the building materials and keep some more stuff in mind, pick up a catalog, you know. I definitely have a lot more stuff to do in the house. No, like seriously, a lot more. But not only does Allie want a little time to work on her college sewing class homework without me making noise all around, but it's so hot and so dry out here that escaping to a warehouse full of tropical paradise seems like the perfect break to me. Oh, heck yes, here we are. OCEANIC ARTS. Far and away one of my favorite hidden gems in all of Southern California. This is the place. Gotta mask up. I got a bunch of consultation and talking to do with those guys from a safe, you know, social distance, of course, but here we go. Oh my gosh. It is good to be back. All right, so I was just talking to Bob for a while. I'm still not 100% sure how the hours work. I think it turns out they're actually closed to the public at the moment, but apparently they have limited hours on Saturday. You really just have to call. Dude, for years I've been coming in here with no space, living in an apartment. There's no tiki space. There's no hut space. Always window shopping. Always dreaming, and now I know I've got the space. So it's becoming a little more real. Actually, maybe a little too real, because look at all this. Even just talking about masks, you'll recognize several of these from Disneyland. If you haven't seen it, years ago I came here and did a history video about OCEANIC ARTS and got Bob and Leroy on camera and talked a little bit about their history. It was one of my early videos, so probably not as good as it would be if I did it now. But still one of the ones I'm the most proud of, because a lot of people didn't know the history and the association with Disneyland, of course. And this is the real life tiki room. These guys built all that stuff at the original Polynesian, even a lot of stuff at Norway and Epcot. Yeah, you've got everything from door handles to masks to giant pieces of wall paneling to furniture. I mean, every conceivable thing. Like, just look at all of the thatch here, all these different kinds of thatch that come from plants around the world, different weaves and stuff. For a long time, you couldn't get this even in Polynesia or in any of the other countries in Asia that use them in their traditional architecture, so these guys would have to be really creative on where to find it. And luckily now there are more and more artists and manufacturers in those countries. So it's actually come full circle. Dude, look at the size of this place. One of my favorite things. Ooh, look at that. Look at that tiger bamboo. One of my favorite things, and normally you shouldn't do this, but they let me, thankfully. These panels right here, which were for a hut in one of the Gilligan's Island reunion movies. This is a screen-used hut from Gilligan's Island. That is a screen-used SS Minnow decoration. I mean, that is so cool. They've worked on Pirates of the Caribbean. They've worked on any number of films that need any sort of South Seas or even Caribbean decor. I have never noticed that giant coffee cup looking thing right there before. What in the world is that? Look at that. You got all your sort of Adventureland masks and war clubs. Ay, ay, ay. I have a different problem than I normally have. Normally I'm wishing I had space to use something like this. Now with the space I realize I'm gonna have to actually come up with a plan. I love being in here when they're theoretically closed because not all of the lights are on. Feels so exclusive. Ooh. Like, look at all these bar stools right here. Where else would you get a whole bunch of Polynesian bar stools? Dude, everything from tourist tikis to hardwood tikis, coconuts, even authentic tablecloth. What I really wanted to see in here were these sort of mock-up huts that they've done. Because on a slightly smaller scale, I'm thinking this would be how I would do it. Either this kind of basic design here, or the big giant like octagon or hexagon. I don't know the difference. No, octagon's 8 sides, right? Hexagon 6. Okay, I know the difference. I don't know which one this is, but this hut is awesome. Look at this. They got the molding up here. Nice carved beams. I don't know that I can afford to go that elaborate. See, I love the way they've got these posts out front on the steps. It's just sort of a wild and crazy mix of stuff in here. These are the kind of places I find really inspiring. They get your wheels turning. You think of different ideas. Wow, dude, look at their old school Tiki mug collection. Then, of course, they've got all this art on the wall. There's a piece from Shag. Hey, there's a piece from me. I forgot about that. I did that little piece of artwork and sent it to them, and they put it up on the wall. Yeah, I can picture it. A miniature version of something like that. Maybe a little more basic, you know, not that crazy shape. Look at this over here. That was a misprint from the Polynesian. I can't remember what was wrong with it. I think the reverse sides were incorrect, you know? Like the back of the sign was supposed to say something else, and vice versa. And of course the Poly has been redesigned. I'm talking about the Disney World resort. So all of these signs are gone now, pretty much, but they still got one of the original prototypes in here. And of course tons of stuff from other restaurants, both, you know, extra ones or ones from restaurants that have closed down and they've managed to get their work back. Dude, so many pufferfish lamps, glass float lamps. Can't think about lamps though till I got a roof, right? Whoa, holy smokes. Look at all of the Tiki mugs in stock. Normally they fly out faster, but during all this, there haven't been as many people in here. So for once, I may actually have a shot at getting some stuff. All right, anyway, speaking of backyard hut, I wasn't sure that it was going to be all Tiki necessarily, but I do like nautical nonsense. And I was thinking, where do I get some like piers, you know, like some poles that look like they were part of an old pier? And there you have it. Seriously, try and look up a place where you can buy ship's wheels and nautical ropes and things. There are not a lot of games in any town. And even though we're, you know, pretty dang close to the Pacific Ocean over here, you'd be surprised how few places sell things like this. So if you want to do something like that, you got to come to OCEANIC ARTS. And a lot of this stuff, by the way, is stuff that is real, that they get a hold of who knows how. Most of the stuff you see in here, as a matter of fact, is all rental stuff. They've got 2 other warehouses full of the stuff they actually sell, which is a lot more unfinished looking and everything like that. A lot less of the original old school Leroy Schmaltz carved stuff is available that way. So really, the main OCEANIC ARTS that most people come to, this place, is just a showroom and a lot of the rental props. And a lot of Leroy's old original work is back here in the rental section. Dude, look at that. The New Guinea one here. You got the Marquesas Islands. A giant, absolutely huge Hawaiian Tiki. Some are fiberglass replicas they used to make. But like this here, this is wood. Hand carved back in the day. These would be way out of my price range anyways to buy, especially hand carved wood. They've been renting them out forever. But even some of the smaller stuff, I have begged and pleaded with them, let me buy this small one because it was handmade. Like this guy here, but no dice. No dice. I know Bob and Leroy pretty well now, and I always loved talking to Leroy. I think Leroy would bend and let me get away with it, but Bob's a businessman, you know, and he's like, maybe someday, Junior, but not today. All right, I'm getting inspired and had a bunch of conversation off camera with these guys. 2 of my favorite people, 2 of the last original sort of Tiki guys left anywhere. They have seen it all. They've seen everything from the scoundrels to the sort of, how do you put it? The people with very little respect for the original cultures and stuff like that, to the flowering of respect and authenticity. I mean, they've seen it all. Everybody from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming in here to, of course, Walt Disney back in the day. Every time I come in here, I find out they worked on some movie or worked with some Polynesian island or some resort or some bar that's legendary or something that I didn't know before. I think they were just telling me they did something for Lost in Space or a reunion or something about Lost in Space. Anyway, they are open on Saturday for just a few hours. If you call ahead, you know, and are looking for something specific, they'll help you and everything, but they're kind of going through a tough time, short hours, and not a lot of restaurants and bars are doing construction right now. So if you have any home projects that you've got the time to work on now and could use a little Oceania in it, OCEANIC ARTS is still here to help you out. And I now totally can't leave without giving them a little support myself. I'm at least gonna have to grab another Tiki, come on, because I don't know if I'm quite ready to hut. Not only budget-wise, but also, you know, just, I got a lot going on, as you saw earlier. Anyway, I'm gonna start my serious looking now, so I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, well, I did make it out with a little Tiki and a lot of conversation. Whew. See, right now everything is super awkward because they're talking about re-lockdowns and unlockdowns and LA County's this and Orange County's that. So it's sort of like everywhere that you do end up getting out and going, you all have to have the same sort of pandemic conversation. How you been doing? What you been up to? What's going on? Isn't it crazy? You know, it's definitely wreaked havoc on my plans for the year. You guys know me. I'm always all over the place, working hard. And my thing now is if they're going to strictly lock us back in our homes again for a month, 2 months, who knows? I mean, it was supposed to be 2 weeks, right? And then we were in the house for months and months. Then there should be some projects and stuff to work on at the house. So I'm just trying to make all the plans in case of that, or in case we are unlocked and things are good. It's a confusing time. I mean, my job is confusing and sort of random and half-planned as it is anyways in the best of times. It turns out it's a lot harder than I thought it was to keep the travel show portion of the show on the road when traveling is very difficult and all the rules keep changing. And finding the balance between being out and doing stuff, and obviously I'm being a lot more careful than some, trying to space things out and make sure that I get tested, blah, 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 which ends up being so expensive. Oh boy. You guys all understand. You guys have been in 2020 with me, right? I mean, there's chaos, there's confusion. What a wild year. But the silver lining is, if everything's in confusion and our regularly scheduled adventures are kind of thrown into whack, it was sort of the perfect time to do all this moving, set up a new house, come up with all the new plans and new projects and shows that I've been dying to do, launch the online store, do a bunch of the things like, you know, plan the Tiki bar, well, not bar, but Tiki hut, because I don't really, you know, imbibe that much, but yeah, so crazy year, but the silver lining is a chance to sort of stop, think, make new plans, and I'm trying to take advantage of the, like, sort of have downtime anyway to make all that happen. I do have a whole bunch of plans, and it's weird. It's weird. A whole bunch of life changes happening, all that moving, and actually, while I drive home right now, I'll show you guys, we did say our final goodbye to our old apartment. This is so strange, dude. This is weird. No more stuff in the closet. No more stuff in the bathrooms, the cabinets. No more furniture. Wow. To be honest with you, I really didn't realize how big this place was. It seems so big now. It's the problem with apartments, right? You're like, wow, there was so much space. And you move in, and over 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you fill a place up so completely. Get all hemmed in. This is so strange. Sorry guys, I'm having a moment here. I'm having a little bit of a mow. Alone in this echoey place with a camera, and this is the final day. The final moments, literally, of being in this place. This is it. We have to turn in the keys before 6 o'clock. I'm just waiting for a locksmith to unlock a weird like carport storage thing for me so I can get out the last stuff, and that's it. So I thought I was going to be saying this sort of strange emotional goodbye, but I gotta tell you, without the people in here, which I heard Allie just come back through the door over there, but without the people that I love in this place, or even the cats, and without my stuff or Allie's stuff or London's stuff in here, just seeing like kind of just the dust and the dirt from moving and not being in here really for a couple weeks, it doesn't even smell like us. Like it's not, it's strange. So I gotta be honest, I expected to have this weird big emotional farewell moment, but instead I'm like, all right, I have learned to accept change, embrace change, and to look forward to new chapters, which may be harder, but you know, you can't put lightning in a bottle. You can't capture the magic in one place forever. I am not sad as I stand here. This is all stream of consciousness, by the way. I did not know what to expect. I haven't been in here for a while. I'm not sad. I'm not particularly nostalgic. Because what I'm realizing is these walls really don't mean anything without the people and the stuff. This is not home anymore. This place has done its duty. It's time for us to go home. Wow. That's it. I think I might take these light bulbs out because they're mine. One actual last look. And we're done. I'm leaving this place for the very last time. Goodbye, apartment B. And now firmly on to the next chapter. Oh boy, one chapter ends and another chapter truly begins. Well, at least the other place is empty and closed up now. Although, looks like I got all the organizing to do here still. I wasn't too bummed. I was glad that the chapter was finally over. That book was closed, volume 2 or whatever volume that was. And then we're finally firmly on to the next chapter of the saga. Allie did get a little misty though, saying goodbye to her first home with me. Right, buddy? This guy was sad to give up his place in the garage, but anyways, it's all beginning now. It's all beginning. All right, back to work for me. See, the wind has been extra poopy for doing all the stuff that we've been doing because I keep having to drag stuff inside to protect it from the wind, and then there's more stuff piled on the stuff that's piled inside the garage, and the garage is really the key thing, right? As I unpack the house, I'm like, okay, well this is stuff we don't need right now, or maybe yard sale, or maybe whatever, put it in the garage. The garage is full. So that is why I worked so hard to get the patio furniture assembled that a friend sent me, which was a very nice housewarming gift indeed. Because I wanted to get all those big boxes and everything out of the way. Boy, it's dark out here now. Wow, look at this. I know it's hard to see, and there's a missing Tiki room style Tiki, which I'm repainting right now, but there's the new one that I just got. There's old Bill that used to be in the apartment, and we got these guys over here. There's Lono, which is actually London's nickname, by the way. And I don't know if you could, whoa, solar light out. So we got a solar light dune. Uh-oh, well, it's a little darker now. I don't know if you can see, but there's a Tiki Tony toucan back there. Anyway, yeah, I got the patio furniture assembled. I got the boxes loaded in the car to throw away back at the apartment, because the manager said I could still go chuck stuff in the dumpster for a little while, which is nice. And now I have these endless bags of stuff that our dear friends who were helping us move chucked everything into real quickly, and it's time to sort it all. Now I keep teasing, sort of, not really teasing, but I keep mentioning how I've got all kinds of plans and stuff for this channel, for stuff for Patreon, for all those people who have been sticking with me and all that stuff. And the reason why it's only teasing, sort of, is because I need the space to do it. It kind of depends on everything, sort of being able to move around and grab all the stuff, and, you know, as you see, it's a little bit of a mess. But just to be more specific, with so many action figures, I have got action figure stuff I want to talk about. There's weird random stuff people have sent me. Obviously the Tiki Hut project I want to do, and then there's all kinds of other projects. I got a Splinter. So anyway, I have to be out here and get rid of this stuff and clear it all out and make the space, which takes time, which means less filming, unless I'm just filming stuff like this, which is cool every once in a while, but I don't know if you'd like to watch me take out the trash every day. So I'm trying to find that balance between hurrying up and doing all this stuff. Hey, it's my jacket, super dry. Ooh, it's like a little treasure trove in here. Forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, trying to find the balance between, you know, doing this to get ready for all the new stuff and then wanting to get going on the new stuff. I feel like all my friends have been running off to, well, a lot of them have been running off to Walt Disney World lately, because it's the only thing that's open, the only game in town for Disney parks in the U.S., and you know me, I'm a Walt Disney World guy. I've been filming there and having adventures for years, and normally I go, what, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year or something? But if I go to Walt Disney World, it pushes all this stuff back even longer, plus not to mention any of the pandemic stuff involving that and travel, and I always get a hard time from everybody if I do anything, even though I'm constantly getting tested and spacing stuff out. What are you going to do, though? People see what they want to see, and they hear what they want to hear sometimes. So I'm kind of in this weird mode of trying to figure out, like, what's better for my time? Finish all this stuff and get all the new projects underway, slow it down 50% with adventures around here mingled into it more, or slow it down a lot and start, you know, road tripping reasonably and responsibly again, and mixing that in, or just waiting on that. It's just, I keep going back and forth, so I've got to think some things through. But one thing's for sure, I need to make the space in here to really get things going just for living. See, I got a lot of stuff like this, okay? This is a remote control Back to the Future DeLorean, clearly somewhat vintage, or I should have said radio controlled. I believe someone sent this to me. I can't remember exactly where this came from, but I used it in a Back to the Future filming locations video with my buddy Oscar a few years ago. It's been in a box ever since then, and then I find it, you know, I really got to get rid of this, or, you know, sell it to someone who's going to appreciate it more, but it's so cool, maybe I'll just hold on to it. I'll worry about it later, and then it stays in a box, and I keep it forever. So I don't think it works. Like, I sort of vaguely remember using it as a prop, and then we had to push it or kick it down the road because I couldn't actually get it to work. Someone with a little more electrical knowledge than me is going to have to take a stab at that. So I'll probably end up putting this on the online store, which, speaking of, has also been kind of a huge distraction. I'm a total failure at it, apparently, because I forgot about Christmas. I really wasn't prepared for Christmas, and a bunch of people are like, I want to get some of your shirts, and this is out of stock, and that's out of stock. So, for once, I have decided to do pre-orders of certain shirts, like this one's coming back in stock, so I'm able to do a pre-order. Of course, they won't ship until halfway through December, and then it's kind of close for Christmas. And then they allowed us to do gift cards, the company that we do the shop through, so that's a possibility. And then we have new t-shirts, which are really funny and really cool, but those also had to be pre-ordered, because otherwise, if I waited till, I usually wait until I have stuff in my hand, I've got it, I know I have it before I offer it to anyone else so that I just know everything's gonna be cool. But this time, like, if I wait till, say, December 15th when they're supposed to be done, usually they're done earlier, but if I wait till December 15th, and then I'm folding them, sorting them, then put them on the store, then let people know about it, then people are probably not gonna have them ship out until the 20th or 21st, or who knows. So, this way the pre-orders, as soon as they come, that's the day they get shipped out, or packed up and then shipped out on the 16th or 17th, and it's cutting it close. But I tried. So it's not so much that anything negative really is going on. It's more of just a jumble of little pieces of the clutter, the mental overwhelm. You get the flea market brain, you know. There's too many things to look at. You get confused and bamboozled. Normally I'm too boozled to bam, but this time they bammed me right in the boozle. Not to mention, I have over 1,000 episodes of Random Land, many traveling around the world and all over the country, cross-country, Route 66, Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, ancient Native American ruins or mysterious places, national park. We've got so much going on, and forever there hasn't been a good way to sort through it, and so I'm working on talks about a website that's going to make that easier and also offer a lot of extra special bonus stuff, especially for all the patrons who've been on Patreon for so long, and there's a lot of exciting things. So there's so many irons in the fire everywhere and so much mess to get to really start on any of those irons that I'm like, all right, I've got to stop procrastinating. I've got to stop thinking about other things and just get the garage so that I can shove things in here and get the house done and get ready to party. I was thinking for a long time that some of the other crazy projects that I want to work on should maybe go on a second channel, right? Just that way they're not interrupting all the Random Lands, but California is now threatening to lock down. There's some talk about 100 days of lockdowns here, all this crazy stuff. I never know what's true or not true. Don't use me as a news source. But if that happens, I really, like I said earlier, I definitely want to be ready to be able to do all the cool projects, which are easy to do in the house without, without going out and breaking the rules kind of thing. But I'm ready to do all this. I want to be ready to do all those in case that happens. Did I say that right? Like I said, friends, utterly bamboozled. All right, I'm getting a little distracted, so I'm going to do a little bit of this sorting here, and then I have one more thing to show you, and then I'll quit from there. Just give me a minute to make some piles real quick. Too much stuff. Man, speaking of projects that are unfinished, like this whole box is Stormtrooper armor. First order, but still. Which a really cool guy I met online gave me. I've been waiting for a friend from the 501st or someone who knows about this stuff to help me kind of restore it since the glue started coming apart from the straps and everything. And get to use it, and or trade it for some Return of the Jedi. This needs a little work. But, yeah, so I've been trying to get that going, but COVID means that a lot of people are like, well, let's see how the pandemic goes. Oh man, look, see, like I've had this forever. This is awesome. Just stuff like this I'd love to talk about. All right, there's a lot more work here than I thought. It's going to take a lot longer than I thought. So, while my brain is still on Back to the Future, I'm going to grab this and take it inside and get it on that old vintage/yard sale portion of the website. I just gotta bite the bullet on this one. And show you something epic. Oh gosh, see, look, more piles, more piles! Something epic, which I just acquired, which is why this has gotta go. Gotta make more room. Oh man, I forgot about the pile of posters that I signed as well. Let's shed a little light on the subject. There we go, that's a little bit better. Alright, you guys will have to... Whoa! Chair too high, chair too high! You'll have to forgive me, the lighting. I didn't have time to build the studio, office, whatever this is, to scale or to paint it yet. It's still very much a work in progress, just like everything else. Behind you is a pile of dramatic proportions. Anyway, I have always been a huge fan of Back to the Future, particularly back in the days before DVDs, when you would say, oh, I'm such a fan of Back to the Future, and people would go, love hoverboards. Like, no, not Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, which I also like, but Back to the Future Part 1. Back to the Future Part 1! It's so close to being a perfect movie. And I know there's lots of geeks out there and meme makers who love to find the flaws in Back to the Future and find the little things, and as Bob Gale, one of the producers, would say, it's a movie. Okay, relax. But I loved Back to the Future as a kid. I loved Part 2 even more as a kid, of course. 1989, I was a youngster. That was a big hit movie. They were always playing them on cable. But Back to the Future merchandise was surprisingly hard to come by. There were a few McDonald's toys when they started doing the animated show. And that's really all I remember. I know there were some DeLorean models out there, including a huge RC one, like they did one for the Batmobile. I have never come across one in the wild, so things like this were all that we Back to the Futurians, Back to the Futurites, that we fans had to hold on to until the modern era. Amazingly, incredibly, Super 7 came up with these Back to the Future reaction figures. After the DVDs, things like this, prop replicas, started to pop up. Here's a little replica receipt. I have the Bag of the Future somewhere. Save the Clock Tower flyers. I've got a few autographs from Tom Wilson and Leah and Christopher Lloyd and things like that from various events, which, you know, a handful of people would attend, but over time Back to the Future has gotten bigger and bigger, and finally Super 7 came out with the thing we were missing as kids: a Marty McFly, a Doc Brown, even a Biff Tannen and a George McFly action figure as well. See, look, I just found this, the 1989 Toys R Us holiday, I believe it's the holiday catalog here. You got the remote control car that I just showed you, so that dates that, 1989. You've got the big Power Wheel thing, which I could not remember the name of. That's what I was talking about. And that was it. No action figures. So finally they made these. They've just recently made some Back to the Future Part 2 action figures, which includes Biff Tannen from alternate 1985. Great flick! Great frickin' flick! The guy's a genius. Probably the best character in the whole series. Maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, obviously when these things came out, I absolutely had to have them. It was the fulfillment of some strange, missing childhood thing. And even though Hot Toys and some of the more expensive like models came out, thousands of dollars, I was like, no, I like to keep it to Star Wars scale action figures, 3 3/4 small stuff, or vintage stuff that I had as a kid. And like I always say, life's not all about having all the toys, it's about playing with them. So I like to have them, and then, you know, someday they'll move on into someone else's hands, I'm sure. So I've avoided anything past this because they're making a lot of merch now. Ever since the DVDs, people have sort of jumped on the bandwagon, especially around 2015. Back to the Future was hot. It was memeable. It was mashable. It was BuzzFeedable. It was everywhere. But now that we've gone beyond 2015, something else has arisen. Something else has reared its ugly, oh jeez, those are sharp, beautiful head. I am talking about this, the NECA Ultimate Marty McFly action figure. Dude, look at this thing. This is a hyper-realistic Marty McFly action figure. Much bigger than any quote-unquote action figure I ever played with as a kid or that I would normally collect now. But look at this thing. This thing is so detailed, so cool. It is everything that we wanted back in the 1980s and early 1990s. I mean, just compare it to the Super 7 one. Okay, this is cool. I love this. But look at the detail on this. It comes in this crazy box right here with a little door on it because this is the 35th anniversary edition that just came out. He has all kinds of little accessories, the skateboard, the guitar. You can change his head to the one with the glasses. Rock and roll. This thing is freaking bangarang. I promised myself I would never collect the NECA action figures. They're kind of pricey. They're a little out of my league. They don't really fit in with my other stuff, but Back to the Future has always been a huge deal for me, and I couldn't help myself. Even if I end up selling them off later or giving them away, I knew I had to have these at least for a little while. Oh my gosh. Watch out, Marty. Your hand is disappearing. I did open mine. This one is not mine. This one is getting passed along to someone else, but I held on to it just to kind of, like, you know, have this little display here. I always open the figures. I don't know why. If somebody gave me a rare, unsealed Luke Skywalker, of course I wouldn't open that. I wouldn't ruin that. But this is so cool. I could not help myself. And not only are they making Marty McFly, they've made some ones in the past. I passed up on them, but I just couldn't help myself with this. They're also making Biff Tannen. Look at the cover here. Look at the cover of Biff's action figure. That, of course, is Part 2 Biff from back in 1955. But he matches up pretty good with Prom Night Biff. Tom Wilson. I think they did a pretty freaking good job. Biff is kind of the best character in Back to the Future. Marty is funny. Biff is, well, I should say the funniest. Well, they're all funny. Who can tell? But Tom Wilson, seriously underrated as Biff Tannen in Back to the Future. Seriously. All right, so you've got Marty McFly. You've got Ultimate Biff Tannen. They also have out there a Tales from Space cover one with Marty with the little nuclear suit on. I didn't grab that. I could have, but I was like, these things are kind of pricey, and I was like, no, I can't. I just can't. And then I saw this to make it even worse. They had to make future Marty McFly. Get out of here, future boy! Look at that. He's got the hoverboard. He's got the weird hat that everybody's obsessed with that I never personally found to be the most awesome thing. Like I said, part 2 is not my favorite. Part 1 is definitely my favorite, but I love part 2. I've got a special place in my heart for Future Boy as well. So this is it. This is all the Back to the Future that's going on at the moment that I just had to have. Now, like I said, I do not collect NECA action figures, although I really always wanted those Ninja Turtle ones, the movie Ninja Turtles. That I would buy, except for now they're kind of hard to find, and all 4 turtles would run you like, what, 100, 200, 300 bucks? So I missed the boat on that one. I did not want to miss the boat on Marty McFly. The other ones in the box, I have other friends who do collect NECA and do collect anything Back to the Future. I will probably pass those on either as Christmas presents or give them away to those friends, or maybe for cost, pass them along. But I had to have and keep Marty McFly, at least for a little while. I mean, this thing is bangarang. Childhood wish, Marty McFly action figure fulfilled. Hopefully they'll make a Doc Brown again, because they made one before. It's like 80 bucks. I can't do that. It's a little rich for my blood. But Marty freaking McFly, he's going to be hanging out back here for a little while. And that is why I have got to yard sale off some of the stuff I've been holding on to forever that people have either given me because they know I love stuff like this. I love to mess around with it. They wanted me to show it on camera and then boot it. So the original 1989, apparently, according to the Toys R Us catalog I have, remote control DeLorean. It's probably going to have to go on store.randomland.com. We got a little vintage section there. I'm selling some of my old Disney shirts and some of the striped shirts and different stuff like that, because we just simply have to make room. But that's part of all that new content that I want to get started on. Being able to show you guys some of the wacky toys people have either sent me over the years. Gosh, I'd love to keep this, but it doesn't work. Someone's going to have to take a hold of this that can fix it. Anyway, just doing stuff like that. Doing different things, talking about action figures, talking about movies, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. There's a lot of other things. There's the podcast for Patreon. There's all kinds of stuff ready to happen. But I better get out back to the garage. I had better get this thing up on the online store so that we can be prepared for the future. By the way, I also had a replica flux capacitor that my friend built for me, custom made for me, a little bit of a different cabinet housing, but an exact prop replica, which somebody, I don't know who, could have been me, who knows, dropped during this move. And I now need a flux capacitor restoration. So I'll have to see if my friend Jordan is out there in the universe. Help me, Jordan 1 Kenobi! You're my only hope. Anyway, I'll show you guys that when I fix it, because it just looks too sad now. The flux capacitor is not fluxing. Anyway, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. I kind of fooled around a little bit today because I wanted to hang out with you, show off some of the weird stuff that we've got here, some Back to the Future collectibles, as well as go to OCEANIC Arts and start getting the Tiki hut project, a little Tiki garden area started anyway. If I take baby steps towards the plans get finished. If I think, yeah, that'll be a good idea one day, it never happens. And that is why we're in here. I'm showing you I'm trying to get into it. But like I said, mountain of work out there. I'm going to go get back to work. I also now have reading glasses I would have shown you, which I'm trying to get used to. There's just a lot going on here. Oh, and I made a record. I made a new record with old songs. And these should be showing up any day. So like I said, I failed at Christmas because these weren't ready. And I'm talking a record, with a hole in it and everything, and grooves and whatnot, and you can use a needle on it. Not just any needle, though, a record needle. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you very much. I love all of your positive comments, your supports, the Facebook group stuff, the sick merch sharing when you guys tag me in the sweet adventure hat pictures. So I'm really glad that I get to spend a little time with you during the crazy times of 2020. We're almost to the end. We made it this far. We're going to make it. But for now, we've done our duty. We can go home and Sleep well. Just got darker. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a T little. Let's make sure that it's recording. Yes, it is. Yeah. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Still editing. That's pretty normal. But I can't believe I almost forgot. I very rarely ever take part in adult beverages, alcoholic concoctions, and such. But every very once in a blue moon, I will have a tiki drink if I am at a tiki place. Don the Beachcomber, which is now gone. The last day of Don the Beachcomber. Every once in a while, Trader Sam's. Very, very rare. But I will occasionally have one. And a good friend of mine, Spike, from the Hula Girls, which is a sort of go-go, tiki throwback, experiment, band, surf, luau. I don't know how to explain. And he's a photographer and a graphic designer and all kinds of stuff, and into old cars and into all this vintage stuff. During the pandemic and the shutdown, started doing a tiki drink cocktail type thing, where first he was doing some different recipes, like how to make different tiki drinks, and then it morphed into Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour. You may remember the Breezeway. That's his like kind of home bar. I think I filmed there quite a few times, I think. Well, Spike started doing the Breezeway Cocktail Hour and showing how to make various tiki drinks, most of them very old school, going through some of the history. He's also a big Back to the Future fan, by the way. And so I wore an orange vest and a Hawaiian shirt and finally agreed to go on Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour, the show. And because he made me as he was going through the drinks, I was like, oh, you can't make the Chief Lapu Lapu for anybody else. That was my favorite drink down at Don the Beachcomber. They used to give you a free drink ticket if you went to the Tiki Marketplace and stuff like that. So I'd have one, and because I needed to be there for 4 hours or whatever, so I just have the one, and that was always the one. So Spike made me the Spike. I can't talk anymore. I'm tired. It's bedtime. But Spike, sounds like I've had a tiki drink, but I haven't, I promise. He made me the tiki cocktail. We learned how to make the Chief Lapu Lapu, which was harder and easier than I thought. And I was on his show for about an hour, a little over an hour, I think the episode is. And you can find that on Spike's YouTube channel, or the Hula Girls YouTube channel, whatever this is right here. And so if you'd like to see me take my rare imbibe of an adult beverage and go full tiki and talk about, somehow we started talking about Star Wars and all kinds of random stuff, it's on there. He's also got a bunch of different guests on there, a bunch of different episodes and different tiki drinks. So if you are someone who's into tiki stuff or old, that old kind of throwback paradise drinks and mid-century cocktails and all that kind of stuff, Spike's show is definitely the ticket for you. It's pretty good. Not just pretty good, I think it's really good for what it is, but it is, of course, it's a grown-up show. It's a late night kind of grown-up sort of deal. So only 21 and up, I guess, probably. But if that's something you're interested in, the drinks are good and the conversation's okay. I was there. So check that out. If you may, shall thou, perhaps. What else was I going to say? I'm a little sleepy. This has been a long year, you guys. A long year. It's about to be March again. Doesn't it feel like March just happened? Can we talk about The Mandalorian yet? Probably not. Just got done watching The Seven Samurai with the boy while I was editing. And, gosh, I love that movie. Kurosawa movies are some of my absolute favorite. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a movie director. That's what I wanted to do, make movies. I guess I am doing that, kind of. They're just weird. They're films. They're films. So, of course, I love Star Wars. I love George Lucas. And I got obsessed with George Lucas saying that he loved, you know, this movie or that movie. And somehow that led me onto Kurosawa. So I would go and rent VHS tapes of Kurosawa movies. They were hard to find sometimes, too. Because they were like either weird Criterion Collection stuff came out later. Can't remember. That was more DVD times. They were hard to find. You had to go to like the weird video store and hope you'd find some. It'd be like it's wedged into the Kung Fu movies for some weird reason. And just finding Seven Samurai, Hidden Fortress, or Yojimbo. Oh, I love Yojimbo. I love Kurosawa movies. So of course I love Sergio Leone movies. That is why I love The Mandalorian. Because it's like all of my favorite things mooshed into one show. I don't care how much other weird stuff gets put in from all the other bigger Star Wars universe with the cartoons and stuff that I never really got into, or the prequels or whatever else any of the old school fanboys complain about. There are Stormtroopers. There's a lot of Kurosawa, Sergio Leone influence. It's the best. I can no longer talk. I can't remember what else I was going to say. Bunch of stuff going in the store. Christmas stuff. Like this. Whee! Utopia! What was it? Oh! Nope, that wasn't it. Come on, give me a good guess. Give me a good gust, come on. Gotta wait for the good gust. But it doesn't even look like it's as windy as it is.